it's in the middle of the morning. It's already Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
We've passed the international dateline, and so it's already Shabbat Shalom, the seventh day.
Yes.
It's the only day that
and it's
has
a little
name.
cooler today, just saying.
No, it is. All day long it was cool, It was rather cool.
There you go.
And when I say that, what are we talking about Fahrenheit? What was it? So
What was
they have
it?
an idea.
Oh,
when we say
you're
it's
asking
cool,
what temperature?
Yeah, the temperature, yes.
I don't know. It probably dropped to about 80, 70.
What do you think? Oh, really?
Yeah.
A couple of times. I was freezing, but we've been way up there.
Well, it was
We've
15
been in the
this
80s
morning.
and 90s.
It was 15 this morning, so that's 30, 37, 47, 57. See, it was in the 60s this morning.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cold. First day that we've had like that.
Yes.
But it's supposed to be warm again, back up today.
But we saw it come in last night on the beach.
Yes, we did. We were at the beach.
Wind, yes.
That's right. We had dinner
And remember,
down.
you put your feet in the water,
Yes.
and the water was
The
not cold.
water was like bath water because the wind was cold, and it was cold outside, but in
Yep.
the water it was really very, very nice.
What do we got here?
And you may have to restart. No, there it is.
I got it.
There it
I
is.
got
Oh,
it.
all right,
Brenda
cool.
Moore, Levi, Sandy, Mark Denalis.
Do we have
morning. Edith.
help us out, folks? Because when we're on the road, equipment isn't the same. So do we have?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us? Can you see us? Can you see us?
There's Debbie Rick
All right, Debbie, Rick,
and James.
Yeah, so this it's been very nice here. Next week we will be back in our home in Idaho.
We will, yes.
Should,
That means we have a long plane ride this week.
Yeah, we will be. We'll be flying forever, and ever, and ever, and ever.
He'll sleep through most of it.
It's true, I do, and I learned
Yes.
after 2 million miles with United, I found a long time ago, I found out how to sleep when you get on that airplane.
Right.
So
Okay. You want to show them some pictures, what we've been doing?
yeah, you want to
this
see what we've been doing, y'all? We have we have a few cool things for you. Like you probably wondered what stargazing is like in Australia. And take a look at that. You can see there's Wayne and Stephanie. Stargazing.
week? Misty.
Isn't that
hello.
fun?
Shanta.
Shanta. All right, and then we were out. You tell the story where we were when we found Kanga and Roo.
Oh, the little kangaroos.
Yeah.
We went down the Coorong with my brother in his boat. We went through the locks and down into the Coorong, it's all scrub.
Yeah.
And so there's some old shacks down there.
It's as far south as you can get, right? I mean, that's the ocean. That's the Indian Ocean, Southern Ocean,
From
and
where we are, yes, that's the ocean.
Yeah.
The Southern Ocean. The other side of it is the Antarctica.
Yes, indeed. The
So
cold ocean now.
there's the wild kangaroos.
Yeah, so this is Kanga, and on the right side of the page, and that's Roo, who was standing up there. I waited until Roo just gave us a little bit of a hi, how are you? They're standing by the sign there, going down the trail. We're headed to the trail to the over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house or to the
Yes, because
ocean or
where the
whatever.
Coorong is, the mouth of the Murray River, which is the equivalent probably of the Mississippi River, it divides the continent in half. Well, it doesn't divide it in half. Everything from the Blue Mountains up in New South Wales on the east side flows to the Pacific Ocean, and on the west side it flows to the Indian Ocean.
That is like the Mississippi.
Right.
Same thing. Yeah.
Yes, but it's all the way on the east coast of the country. So everything west of that, literally through the entire country, goes to that side. And the Murray River comes out of there, and it comes down into South Australia through 3 other states. And it's our major river. The farmers all take water out of it for the crops and things. And so by the time it gets down here, there's a lake, and then it flows out into the Southern Ocean.
Oh, cool.
And for a number of years now, because of all the water that's taken out of it, they've been dredging the mouth to keep it open.
Oh yeah, we saw the dredgers down there, didn't we?
Yeah. And so on the inside of that, where the locks are and where we were boating, is technically a river.
Yeah.
But then we walked half a mile past these little roos and out to the Southern Ocean, where you had lots and lots of waves.
So back to the kangaroos. Kangaroos, they just run wild. I mean, they're like deer, I guess, to us in the U.S. You know, like we see it. We would see deer in our front yard like these two, and these two were just munching on stuff, and we walked up to them. They weren't they didn't act afraid of us at all.
No, they weren't. They weren't afraid of you.
I think I might have zoomed this a little bit, but
not much.
Not
You were
much,
probably
because I was
standing right there.
I was pretty close to them, and they didn't act like they cared, you know. So that was kind of fun to
That was
watch
fun.
them. And so
Yes.
we figured we found Winnie the Pooh's do because that's Kanga and that's Roo of Winnie the Pooh.
I see. I didn't get that part.
Oh, please understand that it's 1:37 in the morning.
Yes.
So
And Lloyd Lerke has just finished watching Crocodile Dundee.
good on you, mate.
And you still have a red face.
And I still have a red face.
That's what they said. You've been getting
Yes.
sun.
Yeah,
wanna
I
get rid
have.
of that
I have been getting. Oh, sorry. I have been
Yes.
getting lots of sun.
You have been getting lots of sun.
Yep.
And enjoying every minute.
on purpose. You know, it's
Yes.
been on purpose. Yeah. So you won't have to have sunglasses to see me anymore, because I'm one of those people who glow in the dark.
Walking on the beach barefoot.
Yep. My neighbors over in Meridian, you know, and when I was there, when I'd go out to mow the lawn, they'd come out and put their welding glasses on. They were funny people. All right, so we're going to talk about, what are we going to talk about today?
Kevin Ford, Ruth Foster.
Awesome. What are we going to talk about?
We should have had a knife to show him, you know. But anyways.
A knife?
What are we talking about?
A knife.
Yes.
What kind of a knife? A knife for what?
It's all right, honey. You haven't seen Crocodile Dundee in a very long time.
Oh, I haven't.
If ever.
No, I did see it.
That's not a
I think I
knife.
saw them all.
That's not a knife.
That's not a knife.
This is a knife.
This is a knife. Yes. That wasn't my favorite line. I had other favorites, but
Yes.
yeah.
Anyways.
At any rate, okay. While we've been down here, what is it this week? I guess we had a really cool Zoom call with our.
You don't even know what day it is.
I don't.
You only know what day it is because we're doing this.
That's the only thing. Markers, you know. But we had a Zoom with the team going to.
Jordan.
Yes, the team that's coming together, going to Jordan, and we feel like it would be a really good idea because this trip to Jordan is so important that we kind of wanted to go through some principles of why we're doing what we're doing. This isn't just a tour. This is a world-changing, as it will be a life-changing tour, probably the most important one I've ever done in my life, and I've done an awful lot of missionary tours, and so have you, and so we this one here is really big.
The cool thing is that you can look back and see the preparation and the training for this one.
Yes, so everybody that's going, so if you'll sign up and get with us, we've already done January's and February's. It's kind of a learning. That's what we're calling
Yes.
it. It's our learning Zooms, and we've got them recorded, and you can. We want to bring everybody up to the place where we are understanding what it is we're doing when we get there. Okay, now
That takes a lot of preparation
it does indeed.
and a lot of research.
A lot of research, and what we want to kind of go through is some of that research so you can see how and what it will mean to the world. Okay, so when we look at the heartland of the earth, it's not arguable that the true heartland is the Holy Lands, what we also call the Holy Lands. It's where everything that means so much to us, as far as spiritually speaking, it happens there. But sometimes we don't really know all that is happening and what has happened there that influences us today.
Right.
So we've got too many Western theologies that block out any understanding of what our real problems are.
Right.
And where they come from, and so on. All right. So when I say that, let's just stop and think, and let's try to stop listening to all of the preachers and the theologians who have no idea what's going on and try to tell us about theology instead of knowing the God of that theology. Theology is to know about God, but we want to know Him.
Right.
The Apostle Paul said that I may know Him and even have fellowship with His sufferings. All right, so when we look at the New Testament, let's realize this, that the early ecclesia. Now these when I say early ecclesia, the
New Testament people?
Those people that we read about now in Acts, they were building the book of Acts. They weren't reading the book of Acts.
Right.
They were writing, the apostles were writing those epistles. They had not written them, and they were not reading them and following them.
Right.
All right, so what is hypocritical is when we come to the place where we read the book of Hebrews improperly, and we don't recognize and we take emphatic stands against the Old Testimony or the Old Testament or the old scrolls and replace them with the new scrolls, and now we don't know very much. We've been dumbed down about what's going on in our lives because it all depends on that which happened.
Right.
And when we look at it that way and realize that the whole of over 100 years, there first of all was that early ecclesia, that first powerful ecclesia that was accused of turning the world upside down, but they were actually turning the world right side up.
Finally.
They had more information about who they were than we do, not because the information's not available, but because theologians have told us it's unimportant and doesn't affect our lives.
Right.
And it's a hypocritical law,
But in that New Testament, though, those preachers are preaching from the Old Testament.
Yes,
And they're preaching from the historical books.
that's right.
And all of those other writings that were available that we forget to study.
Correct.
Because they quote them in the scriptures.
They quote them. That's what they're quoting. Now, some of us don't have a problem with this. I get that, but the majority of Western,
Thinking.
religious people have a mentality that I think they don't even care that if the Old Testament is in their Bible.
Yeah.
And thus they certainly don't know the parts that the Roman Catholic Church messed with and took away from us and distorted and have done some pretty bad things through the ages,
yeah.
and
Right.
and that sort of thing. Not the Roman Catholic Church today, but of the past has done those things because they were the church, which is not what an ecclesia is in the
Right.
first place.
Yes.
An ecclesia is government. It is not church. They didn't know what a church was because there was no such thing until 300 AD
Right.
with Constantine and the first
And
pope.
all the rest of it. Yeah.
And it was a political maneuver.
Yes.
And
if
it
you
was,
can't beat them, join them.
yeah, that's right. If you can't beat them, then join them. And so they joined them and started maneuvering everything against. You know, a case in point is the name Lucifer. Everybody knows the name Lucifer, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows, well, who is Lucifer? Well, thanks to Jerome and the Roman Catholic Church,
Yes.
Lucifer was inserted in Isaiah in the part that was talking about the Satan.
They gave him a name.
They decided to give him a name, which was there at that point. Both the Pope and Jerome the translator decided they were Aryans. Now you know that word Aryan, right? Like Hitler was an Aryan.
Everybody should be the same.
Yes, we're going to formulate this everything the same. That's what the governments of the world today, the one world government of today, is going to try to do.
Right.
They're even talking about letting it right out their mouth that they're going to get rid of most of the population on the planet, and then they're going to bring back their Aryan nation. Well, the Roman Catholic Church was doing that, and Jerome, they had an enemy.
Yes.
And this enemy, his name was Lucifer, and he was a bishop. And he stood up against them with faith instead of Arianism. And they decided to take it out on him. And they moved him from Rome to a little island off the coast of Italy. And just to get him out of their way.
Yep.
And they put his name in the place of the Satan in the Bible. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, you can say, Wayne has lost his nugget. He's gone.
I'll go
he's
look
gone,
for it, okay?
Maybe I'm upside downside, right? And that sort of thing.
Well, you have been on your upside down for quite a while.
Yes, I have been upside down
Yes.
for about 3 weeks. So now
That's why your face is red.
Here, a little blood rush to my head. So it's as simple as this: just Google Lucifer. Bishop Lucifer. Okay, Bishop Lucifer, and Google it, and you'll find all the history, way more history than I just now told you. You can research this man, and Lucifer is not the Satan's name.
Right.
But we've been so hoodwinked by Western theology. We've been hoodwinked.
Right.
And we don't even realize that. Even the Luciferian Church, which is the church of the Satan, right?
Yep.
They took on its name, but then when the Roman Catholic encyclopedia came out with all of that information, and you'll find it right on the Roman Catholic encyclopedia.
Yep.
And when the history became alive, and this was way back in probably I think the 60s is when it really, they were able to get a hold of that information. There was no Google back in those days.
Oh,
you know,
yes,
we've only had
right.
Google for
Yes.
about 20 years, 20
We had to
some
have
years.
encyclopedias up on the
Yes,
bookshelf.
that's right. and so as it became alive and known, it was then that the Luciferian Church decided to make fun of us. And they decided to keep the name. Now this is on their websites. I'm not telling you to go to their websites, okay? I don't. I have been there for research such as this, and every once in a while I will research something that they're onto, but that is one of, and you can go back 20 years and see where they decided to keep the name Lucifer as a joke against us unknowing, just to show you that Christians don't even know that. They don't know anything, you know, but they really do. So they boast that way.
Yep.
Okay. So now I'm sure What are our comments? Our comments, are they going to
I'm not
leave us
getting
and never listen to us again
We
now
haven't-
just because
I
we
don't
mess
have a
with
lot of
their
comments
loser?
on what you're talking. They're being real quiet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm only giving you that as an example. There's a lot more. Okay, we have language problems when it comes to your transference from the old scrolls and the new scrolls, the Old Testament and New Testament, and that is different than. And notice the words that I'm using. I'm using those words on purpose, and it's not because I can't find Old Covenant, New Covenant, Old Testament, New Testament. I know about that, okay? I'm telling you that that powerful ecclesia that Jesus left upon the earth to do his works and to do his will, and the miracles that took place from them, and the world changing that they did not happen with what we know as a New Testament.
Right.
So therefore, I'm just, what we want to say to you is that Old Testament isn't hands off. That Old Testament isn't well. All you ever do is preach the Old Testament. No, I don't. I'm a New Testament believer, and I have a new covenant, and it's a greater covenant than that covenant. But now we're not talking about covenants. We're talking about the stuff that got us to our new covenant. Because from Adam through Enoch, through Methuselah, Noah, Shem, Eber, Abraham, those principles of those, we get all the way to the New Testament, and the Apostle Paul says, don't you understand that you're Abraham's seed? If you have faith in him, you're Abraham's seed, because Abraham had faith, and it was accounted unto him as righteousness. You don't have righteousness on your own. It's not what you believe is not your righteousness. Right?
Yep.
It's your faith that accounts for righteousness, and he puts that to work in you just like he did in Abraham.
Right.
He called it that way to Abraham. All right.
And Abraham passed that to his seed.
And he passed it to his seed. Now, we are...
And he passed it to everybody else who came into contact with him.
Yes, he did.
That's cool.
Abraham did that. And it's absolutely amazing what Abraham did. All right, so now let's go back to the principle of we've got an area that is the heartland of the earth, the Holy Land.
Right.
And most of those people don't know, the largest part of the population there know little to nothing about the New Testament, except that there's this group of people from the West who are constantly irritating the spit out of them.
So when you say Holy Land, you're referring specifically to Israel.
I'm talking about the entire Levant, Israel, all the way down to Egypt and eastward.
Saudi Arabia up through Syria.
Yes,
all
through
that
Mesopotamia. That's the land between two rivers. The Fertile Crescent, which goes up from
Iraq and Iran and Lebanon.
Yes.
And Jordan.
Yes.
And Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Yemen.
All of that it has always been called the Holy Land, not just Israel. Israel is one, and of course a very important part of that land and what we're talking about here.
Right.
And Israel is under fire. And Israel, most all of that region wants to annihilate their elder brother.
Right.
All right. So what we have done as gone deeply into the things of God and being led by His Spirit to reveal where the heart of the problem is that is there. Okay. Where is the heart of the problem? And when we realize that what Jehovah says to Abraham is important, because he says it's forever.
Right.
He says it's forever. I think we're a part of that forever.
I hope so.
And you see, if Abraham has had seed, which is inheritance, children.
Children.
That's his children. All right. And it's not. When the Word of God speaks of that, it's not generations. All the generations are in one. They're all like one child. Okay, so Abraham's seed, original seed, is still Abraham's seed today. Abraham's the generations that are there right now are still Abraham. They belong to Abraham, and they belong to the promises of Abraham. And none of us, including Israel, has produced a message of light, even though Israel was called to be a light unto the world and unto the nations. We're called to be a light unto the nations, but we have done little to nothing for those people groups that are actually our siblings.
Right.
And when I say our siblings, because we're by faith we have become Abraham's seed. That means that we're the youngest child in the family.
Right.
We're the babies of the family. And we became, long afterwards, children. We're not most important. The
No.
baby is not the most important, ladies and gentlemen.
Well,
Even though they think they
for
are.
a little while they are. We got a little baby running around our house sometimes. And she's pretty important.
You get what I'm talking about.
I know.
It's crazy to the amount of narcissism that the West carries with it, even in religion.
Yeah.
All right, so when we realize that all of those sons, and it stays within the gender of sons, and all of those sons are us, meaning our siblings.
Right.
So those who are fighting against Israel and want to obliterate Israel are actually their brothers.
Right.
And we have been in a deep study finding those things out. And you say, well, how many children did Abraham have?
Right. So most people are pretty familiar with Ishmael and Isaac. Those are the ones that are talked about most in the scriptures. But there is also, when you read the historical books, you see the reasoning for it. But it's also mentioned in the scriptures that when he leaves Haran to go to Canaan, he takes his brother's son with him, Lot. And Sarah, his wife, is actually Lot's little sister. And so Lot becomes one of Abraham's sons because of the principle of preserving the bloodline.
That's right.
And when you read the historical books, and I'm not going to go into it now, you will see the history behind that and why Abraham was responsible to take Lot with him.
Because that's his brother's son.
And his brother was dead.
Yes.
So we have Lot, who is actually technically older than Ishmael and Isaac, but Isaac is considered the elder brother. Is that right?
He actually was almost as old as, he was like within 2 years of Abraham.
Yeah, they were almost the same age.
Because
Yes.
Abraham was the youngest child of Terah. And
Until he married again and had the fourth son.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
right.
and his brother Haran was 37 years older than him.
And he was the oldest brother.
He was the oldest brother. There was Haran, Nahor, Abraham, and then I think it's Zoir or Zolin.
Yeah, it starts with Z. Yeah.
But he was much, much younger. Abraham was like 60 years old or something when he was born. So we have Lot, who's only a couple years younger than Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, and then after Sarah dies, Abraham marries again. And we found some very interesting things out about Keturah. But anyways, they have 6 or 8 more sons.
That was 6.
6. So there's 6 more sons there. So we have a total, if you include us, that makes 10.
Yep.
That's a lot more children than just
there's
Ishmael and Isaac.
Ishmael's firstborn.
Well, Lot's the first.
Lot is actually the oldest.
Yep. And then Ishmael.
then Ishmael,
And then Isaac.
then Isaac. But Lot he's not the one that counts. It's because it's his brother. It's his brother's lineage that counts. So that Lot has two sons, Moab and Ammon. All right, and they take up a large part of Jordan,
Right.
and so you actually have there. Lot isn't. It's sort of like with
Joseph.
Joseph. The
It
same
was
thing.
Ephraim and Manasseh.
Yes, it's not. Joseph isn't counted in the 12. It's Joseph's
two
two
sons.
sons.
Yeah.
All right, for a similar, not the same, but a similar reason in lineage. Okay, so you have two sons of Lot, Ishmael, Isaac, 6 sons of Keturah, and us. Is that right?
Yes.
And that's 10. Is that?
Actually, if you count the 2 sons of Lot, that makes 11.
That makes 11. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. All right.
Yes.
So all of these,
And they're all fighting.
and they're all fighting, and they all hate each other. And sometimes they join one another up to fight another one of the other. All right. So when we look at when Jesus came into the Holy Land, that is, he was born in Bethlehem unto Miriam and Joseph. Okay, so when he came as the Prince of Shalom.
Right.
He came in the midst of war in a likeness of Melchizedek. That's in the book of Hebrews too. If you pay more attention to things like this, you'll see how much it matters to you about what goes on in those days. Because when the war is taking place on that land, and Abraham is in the midst of war, along comes Melchizedek, who is known as the Prince of Shalom, or the King of Shalom. And Hebrews tells us, and referred to in the New Testament in descriptions, Jesus becomes that according to the order of Melchizedek, and he has that shalom to inject. What happens there in I want to say about Genesis 14, maybe, when Melchizedek shows up, that's when Abraham comes out with his hand up, and he swears with that means to swear unto, to give up. He came out with his hands up, you could say, but it just says one hand, and he yields himself, gives himself to Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, Elohim, Elyon of the Hamayim, heavens, and Eretz,
The earth.
earth. Okay, and of course the Hebrew children all talk a whole lot about the Eretz because it is the promised Eretz.
Right.
Okay, now when we look at how all this takes place, we've got Shalom coming into the midst of war, and we're looking at now those who come into Abraham's lineage because of Jesus. When we believe on Jesus, who is the prince, well, we call him the Prince of Peace. Peace is not a bad word. It's just
Incomplete.
It's so incomplete. You know,
Right.
it's an English term. It's not the Hebrew term, and it's very, very incomplete to that. I try not to use Prince of Peace or peace in those ways as much as I possibly can, because everything in the Bible, the word behind it is not peace.
Right.
Okay, it is shalom.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So that's another thing that we New Testamenters love to take our language, our English language,
Yeah.
and think that's the Bible, when in fact the Bible was the English language has only been available for about 400 years, and that Bible's a whole lot older than that. Even the New Testament part.
Right.
Okay, and we got such problems as the one I like to use all the time is Jesus teaching, and he talks to the rich man, and he says it's hard for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. Harder for a rich man to get to heaven than for a camel to go through the eye of a needle.
Yes.
Well, when he's saying that, he's saying it to a broad group of people, public, and so he's using not only Hebrew but Aramaic, and in the language, the word spells the lettering, that is the, what do you call those characters? The characters that are used for the word that it is translated as camel is also the same characters for the word rope. Now, what do you think he said? That it's as hard for a rich man to get into heaven as a camel to go through the eye of a needle or a rope to go through the eye of a needle.
Right.
Guess which one he said. All right, but we've got these phenomenal stories that are nothing but stories that somebody made up about camels going through rock that are just so big, and they got to get rid of all their burdens, and they got to get on their knees, because camels get on their knees, don't they?
Yes.
And they can walk on their knees if they need to.
Right.
And
you can climb on a camel when it's on their knees.
Yeah, they get on the knees so that we can get on them, and it's a ride up. That's a thrilling roller coaster ride.
And we will do that if you come with us.
Yes, you'll get to do that. Okay, so now what I'm saying here is that when we have language problems like that, we need to study to show ourselves approved. I'm telling you, I believe with all my heart that the Bible is the Word of God, and it's infallible. I'm not in any way what the fallible part is, the hoodwinking that we have shoved down our throats century after century now of people who don't want to talk about spirituals, and they want you to think their way instead of God's way.
Right.
And it's time for us to think God's way. All right, let's go back to the peace.
Okay. Peace.
Shalom.
Yes.
Shalom is an important word. It's more than peace.
Right.
All right, he is the king of Shalom, according to the order of Melchizedek, and we're his children. That means if he comes in the midst of war and injects the what's the word that he raised his hand?
The authority?
No. What did he do when he raised his hand? Please help me. The word for
dear.
what is he doing? He's committing himself. Okay, you all know. Please,
I'm sorry.
help
I don't know
help
what
the
word
guy.
it
It's
is.
1:30 in the morning for
It's
crying
not,
out loud.
it's
I know
2
it's 2
o'clock.
o'clock in the morning now to us. I can't think of the word. It's a simple word. It's a really easy word. He gives himself to,
He takes an oath.
He takes the oath. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandy.
Elisha Ba, the oath. That's Elizabeth is the oath. The important part is the oath. He oaths himself unto Jehovah, Elohim, Elion, of the heavens and the eretz, the earth. Right. All right. So, and at that point, that's the point we're going to Jordan, and we're going to those some very, very important sites. Now, I just remembered what I wanted to put on here to show them, and that was Daniel's new video. We'll put that on next week. I forgot about it.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
He was at the place where Laban and Yaakov meet, and there's reconciliation. Reconciliation is where we're going first. We're going to the land of reconciliation. We're going to Peniel. Would you like to see Peniel? We can show you Peniel. Let's show them Peniel, okay?
Oh, okay.
I'm Wayne and Stephanie here. Listen, we're in the beautiful land of Jordan,
And we're at the area, a very important biblical area, that is known as Peniel, where Jacob wrestled with an angel all night long, and the angel blessed him with a new name, the name Israel. When we look at Israel and that striving with God, it usually has to do with God, not striving against God. Okay, it's kind of important for us to understand that preposition be translated correctly. And so when he was wrestling, according to the sages, he was actually wrestling with his brother's angel, Esau's angel. If we read that whole story in context, we find that Esau is on his way with 400 men to kill his brother for all that had happened in the past. You know the story. But he was coming to kill his brother. But that night, Jacob wrestled with Esau's angel, according to the sages, and would not let go. There was no curse words. There was no bloodshed. There was no swords taken out. It was a wrestling. It was a time of holding on. And Jacob held on to Esau's angel and would not let him go. And finally, the angel says, then what do you want? He says, bless me. I'm not letting go until you bless me. And he says, what's your name? Well, Jacob, which means deceiver. Your name's not Jacob anymore. You've just proven it. You work with God. You're the one that holds on with God. You war with him. You walk with him. You establish with him. And we happen to be on the land right here. This is a remote location, and many people don't know about it. But this is the brook Jabbok right here. This water is the biblical river that he sent his wives and children across, and Jacob stayed over here and wrestled with his brother's angel that night. This is the kind of stuff you get if you'll come and journey the Jordan with us. It's pretty cool. Let me tell you something. It's really cool. It's one incident like this after another incident after another incident, and you're right on the land where historically those things take place. And so we invite you to come with us the next time, and I'm sure we'll get the opportunity of bringing you right here to.
You can take it back with you.
And you can take it back with you. That's right.
Okay, we filmed that right at the brook where Jacob.
They were wrestling.
Now the interesting thing about that is that, as you heard in that little teaching we did there, that was accounted for in the Talmud. Mm-hmm. That was the scribes, not scribes, the sages say that was Esau's angel. Well, Esau was coming mm-hmm. with troops, 300 troops, to murder his brother,
right,
to get rid of him. But when he came, mm-hmm. he fell on him and kissed him, mm-hmm. and there was reconciliation. Mm-hmm. Now that reconciliation is a power of the King of Shalom. Mm-hmm. And going to what we're going to do is go from this place right here. This is mm-hmm. the place of reconciliation, and we're going to go through for the next 11 days, I believe it is, mm-hmm. through the different sites of that and make apologies in the land, and mm-hmm. all of this because Israel needs the brotherhood not to kill them, but to thrive.
Yeah.
And what our point, the end result is for Israel to thrive.
Right.
And so it's right that the elder brother doesn't have to take all of the heat. It's time for the youngest mm-hmm. to go and give some relief to the elder brother. Mm-hmm. And that's really what we're doing.
Right.
And we're going to do some things and we'll see things and do things that are going to change the history. We always like to look for measurable results, and we are going to look for measurable results. I'm sure we're going to have signs of measurable results. Whether we're able to see it play out, I don't know how much more the world can take. So by October, where will we be then? But the important thing is that we're going right to the seat, to the heart of the matter, to the heartland of the earth, which is the Holy Land, and we're going to those places that are really important. Not all of the important places. We can't do that. But we're studying the other ones, and what?
I was saying most people think of the Holy Land just as Israel.
Yeah.
But there's 122 known biblical sites in Jordan on the other side of the river there.
Right.
And most of them have not been commercialized.
Yeah. Which
is great. And so, but a lot of that warring and fighting between the brothers actually happened on the land that is Jordan rather than the land that is Israel.
Yep, we're going to go like to the very place where Elijah went up in a whirlwind.
Yes.
And where Elisha stood there, and we'll be baptizing people there in the Jordan, right there, right, very close there, just down the hill, a small walk, a short walk, and we'll be there where that somewhere in there is where John baptized Jesus,
right,
and the Holy Spirit descended upon him in the bodily form of a dove, and then sent him out to the wilderness. We're going to stand on Mount Nebo and look down and look at the wilderness that Jesus went and fought Satan.
Right.
We're going to look over at the other side of the valley where Moses' body is buried somewhere, and there the Satan wrestled with Michael the archangel over that body. So there was tribulations that are there and wars in the spirit, and those are the kinds of things we're going to not just go to see. We're not on, again, you'll tour, yes, you'll see amazing things, yes, you'll have the time of your life changing, but we got a reason for it. It's getting to the inside, the heart of the heartland, and the love of the brothers, and bring, in order to see the prince, the king of Shalom, manifest in that region with the people. Okay, and I realizing that I'm probably the only, as far as anybody knows that we know, I'm the only Gentile Christian who has ever been summoned to the Sanhedrin, and so I'm friends with the Sanhedrin in Jerusalem. I am a lover of Israel. I am, and I want to see Israel in a safe place, and I want, as the younger brother to those our older brothers, I want to see everything that was promised to them, given unto them. But we got to realize that Jehovah also loves the other sons of Abraham and want them to be one. He wants them ultimately to be one, not battling as they have done for millennia.
Yep.
And taking each other to, shedding blood at different times. Israel has not been pure throughout the years, and there's forgiveness that needs to go on there, both ways. The forgiveness needs to go. Now, my friends in Israel seem to understand that. Okay, that's not like shock or anything like that. That's news they know. And they're prepared to too. They're preparing and they're doing it. I feel like they're doing it all the time, but they need reciprocation. Right. And our what we're doing is we have influence over there because of where we're coming from and so on. And it's time to use our influence with the spirit of Melchizedek, the king of Shalom, to bring the hearts of the brethren together. Amen. And those are the seeds
Yes.
of Abraham. So I just want to mention that we got a new book out. Okay,
Yes,
and let me look at here's the book, Revealing Faith. It's now available at iamtheway.org/faith. You can get that book on the app. We're doing actually. You started helping me on this Becoming Aware of Angels series that we're doing, and let's just show you some pictures of Jordan here for a minute.
Welcome to Jordan, where the Bible comes alive. The land of the Exodus, from the Red Sea to the Jordan River. Walk where Jesus walked. We want to invite you to worship with us across the Holy Land. Encounter the Lord as the Word becomes alive to you. On this journey, you experience things so extraordinary that it will forever transform you. Journey the Jordan.
And so
if you would like to go with us, it's actually on the app, isn't it?
yes, it's on the app.
Just,
You can.
It's under missions, I think. Is that right?
No, it's right on the front page. I think.
Oh, is it? It's on the front page.
It's moved to the front page now.
Okay.
The
So
main
just go in
page.
there and you can click through and
Yep.
yeah.
Sign up, go, and we're doing monthly teaching. You'll hear.
Once you sign up, you got to put in your application form, and once your application form's in, then I'll send you all of the information for everything else.
Yep. Yep. And you
Yes.
get the understanding of dates, times, amount, money, and
All
so
the
on.
rest of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So then, when we look at the principle of Israel in incarceration in Egypt, when Moses is standing at that burning bush, the first thing that Moses is told by Jehovah is he introduces himself to him, because Moses doesn't know him. And he begins the process of idol destruction, the destruction of the idols that he grew up with. All right, and there's a lot said about that. Those idols are a problem to us in the Middle East and with all that we've talked about here. Well, the end of it came, and we're talking about inheritance, and you can say what the children of Israel were under in Egypt when it came to their inheritance.
Right.
Explain what Egypt was doing to them as far as their inheritance. We know that at one point Pharaoh was killing babies.
Oh, right. So when after the first Pharaoh was very hospitable to them when they first went,
yes, right.
But then
Absolutely.
after he died and the children began to multiply, they began to make them slaves, and the pharaohs began to they became very afraid of the Israelites. And when you read the historical books, they explain how when the Hebrew men did not meet their quota of bricks for the day for the construction projects that they were doing, that the overseers would take their oldest child and put them in the wall where those bricks should have been that they were supposed to have made that day.
Yeah, that's the kind of treatment that Israel was getting.
Yeah.
And so now we only say that because Egypt was about destroying Israel's inheritance. And therefore 10 miracles took place. The first 9 are all about, I'm going to show you my hand and who I am.
Right.
Okay.
Mocking their gods.
Mocking all of their gods. And then the last one, he tells Moses now. He starts their whole calendar over. And that's the first day of the year.
Right.
That's what he says.
Yeah.
And on the 10th day of that first year, they bring the lamb into the house, and the lamb remains in the house
Until the 4th day.
Until the 4th day. Right?
Yes.
And if you take the hours of that, it's just over 3 days, but it turns out to be the 4th day, the evening of the 4th day, the 14th day, the 4th day of the lamb being there, but it's the 14th day of the month. And they're to slay the animal and take the blood, put it on the doorpost and the lintel of their home. Okay, and what happened outside was Jehovah took the inheritance of Egypt that they were constantly taking away from Israel.
Right.
Okay, and so when we look at that and we take the bread of life that Jesus was, Jesus said, "This bread is my body, which is for you." And we give thanks to you, Heavenly Father, for the body of Jesus Christ, because that's who we are. It is who we are. We are the body of Christ, and we are his body, and we are everything. We represent his body upon the earth today. And so therefore, the works of the kingdom and the King of Shalom are working mightily right now in us, around us, but it's not just for us, it's also for the nations. And so we take a position where it is not all about us and our needs. Let us take a position of true hospitality for the nations and realize that we're given the body of Christ to take them in and for it to be healing. For he was wounded for our transgressions, bruised for our iniquities. The chastening of our peace fell upon him, and by his stripes we're healed. Let us partake of bread. And then he took the cup after supper, remembering that this is the blood of the Lamb. And it was on the doorpost and the lintel of the house. And this was never meant to go into the basilica out of the home. Somehow, again, in New Testament times, we've been hoodwinked again. And we lost our protection for our homes. And this was the bread and the wine was to be handled by holy men that we now find out are not so holy. And they took it from us and put it into the basilica. Now we're having to try to replace the table of the Lord into the home because this blood is upon the doorposts and the lintel of our home, and it protects our family. It protects our inheritance. When we go to Jordan, we're going to be doing the table of the Lord, and we're going to bring the brothers in to that table, spiritually speaking, and so that the blood is protecting their homes from the wickedness of the evil ones.
Right.
And so we do the same with this blood. This cup is the new covenant of my blood, which is for you, Jesus said. And so we partake of this blood that speaks louder than even the blood of righteous Abel. And so this is the blood of protection. This is the blood of our full inheritance from him. And so we thank you, Father, for that in Jesus' wonderful blood. All right. That was fun.
That was fun.
All right. It's 2:30 in the morning here in Adelaide. Adelaide has been a wonderful time of relaxation. We're on the... I'm not trying to think of it at all. In fact, I don't think I'm even going to talk about the next few days.
All right, then don't.
Except
We'll
for
see
to
you
tell
next
you,
week in Idaho.
we're gonna do sun and beach and and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Family.
Yes, we
Yeah,
are.
that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So anyway,
He is resting.
thank you for being with us at this really middle of the morning hour.
Yeah.
which
It's going to
is
be a good Shabbat.
the beginning of your day. Yeah, we know what we're already in Shabbat.
Enjoy
So
your
Shabbat
preparation.
Shalom. Your preparation day is now. So prepare for Shabbat and have a wonderful time with your family. Okay.